Thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com, home of technical analysis education in both the stock market and cryptocurrency worlds. See the links in the description of this video for more information on our two courses, Entries and Exits on the Fundamentals of Technical Analysis, as well as our new course on Trading Cryptocurrency Strategy. Purchase both and receive a 20% off bundle discount. Thanks for checking us out. Let's get on to the technical analysis. Hello everyone, so we had a bit of a dump in the big three today, but with dumps come bounce opportunities. So we have been looking for these bounce opportunities and playing them on the way down. Bears have been certainly enjoying the dumps with a lot of bearish momentum, but our bottom looks to be in for the temporary, for now at least, and we're going to see if we can get this follow through. We'll point out exactly what we're looking for to give us the confidence that the bottom has been found for today. So first things first, the daily time frames. The important support level that we're watching is the initial low of consolidation after the initial top of the bounce was hit. So for Bitcoin, that's at 34.75, and we have a higher low compared to that level. And that's important just because I was referencing that as I was looking to make my entry, where we were expecting with oversold conditions with the hourly RSIs around 20, anticipating that we are going to form a daily higher low compared to that level. And then from there, and how much bounce we see, that is still remains to be seen. But with the daily bull MACD cross so close, we could definitely see this tightening pattern continue, where we have our clear higher low if we see some more follow through today on this bounce. And then we'll be looking to head back up towards 4,000 on Bitcoin and likely stay within a tightening range. I wouldn't be surprised to bounce, set a lower high compared to 41.30, and then see a little equilibrium pattern form here on the daily as things tighten up and the MACD gets pretty much right on top of itself. So on the 4-hour time frame, we can see the clear bear break occurred, and there was plenty of heads up because we had a double bottom, and as soon as that, we had a double bottom and a double top. And as soon as we broke that double bottom, we didn't dump on that move. That was your chance to exit, and then we dumped. Increasing bear volume. Bullish reversal 4-hour candlestick is forming. We still have just under 2 hours until this closes, but here's that low on the daily, and you can see we're forming a higher low compared to that level in a pretty similar candlestick. So we'll see if we can confirm this reversal candlestick. The hourly time frame is what had us looking for entry due to the oversold conditions, and the RSI got down around 20 before the bounce ended up taking place. And now we're seeing a 15-minute time frame is where the action is at right now, in my opinion. And the 15-minute time frame, we have to see a higher low and a higher high. And that's what the bulls are doing, trying to do right now. So we had a bounce right here, and we made some entries here for the bulls. Some people locked in some short-term gains. Some people ate some small losses and re-entered. I'll point out what I did on Ethereum because I did a lot of shuffling around. But here we had our low of the pullback at that point. And it's always a point in time where we're wondering, okay, how much downside are we going to see? How oversold is the hourly RSI going to get? And we're never really sure of that, so we always want to put ourselves in a position where we are, making entries with clear exit levels to potentially reload lower. And I'll talk on that a little bit more when we get to ETH, when I can give some specific examples. But we had here the low, the high of the bounce, higher low, lower high, just a classic 15-minute equilibrium pattern. But I was not comfortable with the bulls because we never broke the lower high pattern. So it was clear lower highs and higher lows, really tight, and then a clear dump. And that's can't get much more clear than a bear break on that equilibrium pattern and a new leg to the downside. Oversold conditions again on the 15-minute time frame. So now we have our bounce. The higher low is trying to form at 36.58, and if we see a bull break of 37.08, that will be a higher low and a higher high, and we'll be a lot more convinced that our low of today has been set. The hourly RSI at this point is just coming off of oversold, so we'll see how much more momentum the bulls can put together, ideally seeing a bull MACD cross and some follow through. So ETH on the daily time frame, just to catch up as well, we have the higher low. So the low was 240. Higher low is trying to be 252 right now. Not a really convincing lower wick. The bulls need to buy some more here in this dip and see some follow through up around 270 would be a pretty bullish candlestick. 4-hour time frame, there's that low that we need to hold. Bullish reversal candlestick trying to form. We'll see if we can follow through. The hourly, so we started to dump. The decreasing bear volume is what initially had me looking for an entry. We had the tightening pattern and then a new leg to the downside, which was a little bit of a fake out, but not exactly a fake out because, the 15-minute time frame was very clear that we hadn't broken the lower high pattern yet at that point, and it was the same equilibrium pattern that Bitcoin saw. So initially made a bull entry on this initial dump and bounce and sold for very small profit. I sold half of my position for a small gain, and then half of my position break even because it was clear that this was a bear flag. And we did a really good job in the chat room with everybody, giving props to everybody for recognizing this weak bounce attempt with volume and the small details. So we recognized pretty early on that this was a bear flag and likely to see further downside, which we ended up seeing. So I was able to get out with small profit there. I made another entry to give myself the opportunity. Every time I'm making an entry, I'm looking to give myself the opportunity for a more prolonged bounce to utilize the oversold hourly RSI and to see that bounce play out. So if I get into a position like I did here, I got into another position and it was very clear the bear break occurred. I exited on that bear break, and with with the fee using a market order to exit, I believe I took maybe a $2 loss on that position. But this is a scenario that I played out before where my trading style is, if I know the hourly RSI is really oversold and I'm confident an oversold bounce is coming in the near-term future, it's averaging down in a sense. I don't normally like averaging down, but in the cryptocurrency space this year, when the hourly RSI hits a certain point, it's almost been automatic for a bounce. So that's why I'm so confident where, I take that $2 loss and then I look to reload on the dump. So I exited my 264 position at about 262, and then I re-entered in the upper 250s. So just shaving off cost basis and allowing me to make bigger profit when the oversold bounce does begin playing out. Each time I reload, I do reload with more coins using my full position and just wait for the bounce to play out. So at this point, Ethereum's higher low is trying to form at 260.50. The bulls have to break 267.55, and then we're looking at 269 and 270.70 as the lower highs on the 15-minute time frame and clear resistances that the bulls have to break. So far, the consolidation is a good sign on decreasing bear volume, but we need the bull volume to show back up to be confident that our higher low has been established, which we are not confident at that point because the bull volume has not shown back up again. Obviously, we're watching the correlation to Bitcoin. That's a very important correlation, and watching to see if Bitcoin bulls can continue higher lows and higher highs. So Litecoin, a bit different of a setup. Look at the daily time frame. We broke the higher low. That was at 47.87, and we broke it by a significant margin, 45.18. So that's a much more bearish break. The setup's a bit different because we did hit such a strong move on the original bounce, all the way up to $62 on the daily time frame. And because we saw such a significant move, we didn't see the higher low and the higher high that the other two names did. So that's why it's a bit of a different setup. Obviously, the correlation is still there, but there's less support now on LTC than there is on the other two names. So the 4-hour time frame, checking in to see if we're seeing that bullish reversal candlestick. There's that break of support. And the hourly time frame, RSI got down to the upper 20s, or I should say the upper teens for both Ethereum and Litecoin. And it's the 15-minute time frame, higher lows, and need that lower highs, and we need that higher low and higher high. So we had a strong move here where we did break a couple resistance levels, but I'm looking at the potential for support at 46.36 and the need to break 48.96 resistance to see this bounce play out. Again, declining bear volume is a good sign. Have to see the bull volume show up and get some follow through here on the 15-minute time frame bounce attempt. And that goes the same for all three of these names because we're all seeing the same thing where we currently stand. So at this point, in positions, looking to see a longer-term hourly bounce play out. At this point, let's say overnight tonight, if this bounce were to go well, I would be looking for the bulls to hit to 3,800 would be a really strong bounce and significant follow-through. If we're looking at the daily time frame, again, looking at that potentially that 4,000 level, that would be a pretty big bounce. I think I might cut that down to a target of 3,900. Either way, we are looking for further upside. Ethereum, a target would be, again, I'm just using visual guesses to be honest. They're educated guesses, but looking at where we could bounce from here, and I would be looking up at about 273 or so on ETH would be a solid bounce, and checking in on Litecoin, I would say about $50 would be a solid bounce here. I also did make one more trade I forgot on Ethereum where I did sell up here. So I entered my position in the upper 250s and I sold at about 264 was my average when it was all said and done. And that was because we had extended. We saw a bounce of an hour and 15 minutes, all green with no consolidation on this 15-minute time frame. So anticipating that we're not just going to bounce straight from the low and take out these resistances, anticipating that we would consolidate, form a higher low before attempting those resistances. So I did take my profit at 264. I reloaded here and the bulls seemed a bit stronger than I anticipated, so I reloaded pretty quickly, only shaved off about $1.50 from my cost basis. So just the kind of movements that we're seeing, if I were doing these kind of trades back on the run-up back in May and April and June, I would be making, I'd be shaving $10 off my cost basis, and it'd be huge trades in terms of the gains and the benefit of flipping. But as of right now, it's much less. Again, still locking in a little bit of profit, reloading with a little bit more coins, but it is trickier when it's not as significant a trading range. It's harder to pinpoint and do successfully. So I do that a lot less. And where we stand right now, I will be exiting if we do head to lower lows, but I'll be looking right back for another position again because the hourly RSI will be right back to oversold very quickly. So bull MAC decross, keeping an eye on that if this bounce continues to play out, along with the daily bull MAC decross, which we have the candlestick changing over here in just an hour and a half, and likely to be right on top of each other with the lines. But I don't really care about that MACD just by itself. It's all about the 15-minute time frame must break lower highs for the bulls to see any kind of conviction and follow through on this oversold bounce attempt. So I appreciate you watching. We'll continue to check back in tomorrow and see how this oversold bounce did play out. And again, where we currently stand, the daily time frame would make a lot of sense for these names to bounce and keep these higher low patterns from hourly oversold conditions. If we didn't have oversold conditions, I'd be a lot more cautious as to whether or not these support levels could break. But have to also be watching because the fact that the hourly RSI has now almost come off of oversold, that we could see another move down or a double dip. We've been seeing a lot of double dips into the oversold conditions before the bounces really get going. So at this point, it's all about the 15-minute. I appreciate you watching. See you tomorrow.